So it's been about 4 or 5 months since I last gave an update with my monstera that I'm growing in just straight water. And since then it's given me 2 massive leaves and they finally have holes in them, so I'm super excited about that. This is one plant that is probably the easiest in my entire collection because it's growing in water, so there is no guesswork as to when it needs water. So I'm going to talk about all the care and everything that I do for this plant. The goal for it was to get it, well, actually there was really no goal for it because it was actually just a propagation that I had taken probably about 18 months ago. I placed it in a container of water and I really didn't know what to do with it. Eventually the goal was to see if I can grow a large mature monstera in just straight water over time. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So this is where I have the plant right now. It's beside my IKEA greenhouse cabinet and it's getting light from these Barena vertical lights, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. This plant has actually gone through a few different containers. It's had to be upsized. I do have it on a support stake. So I'm going to remove it here in a second, but I just wanted to show that it still has some of the original leaves. Like these are quite small. This is something that you would probably see like in a big box store, and it's easily like tripled in size over the last year or so. So there's definitely more to it than just sticking a cutting in water and walking away. So I'll tell you some of the things that I've learned with this plant over the last little while. And of course I have to bust out the measuring tape. So I'm gonna put that at the top of the leaf, right up here, and we'll come on down to the bottom, and we're sitting at 20 inches. So that's a couple inches away from being 2 feet long, which is absolutely crazy. And then back in this corner over here is my soil grown monstera. This one has many more holes in the leaves, but it's been kind of under attack from thrips. But I just want to show this one right here is 22 inches in length for that leaf. So pretty comparable in size now, but this is one of my favorite plants for sure. And I find that the water grown monstera just overall looks healthier. Yeah, I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if it's a reflection of the care that I give my soil monstera, but it's definitely more difficult to tell when a soil monstera needs to be watered, and I tend to underwater mine, so this is most likely a root issue or a watering issue just from the yellowing on the leaves here. I pretty much say in all my plant videos, one of the most important things for your plant is the amount of light that it receives. Like I said, this is a Barena light. It's the 4-foot vertical. It's about 2 feet from the plant. I like to use, just as a rough estimate, a digital light meter. It's in the foot candle setting, and you can place it right near the surface of the leaf. You can see it's getting about 340 foot candles. So this is in the range of medium light, and medium light is classified as anywhere between 250 to 500 foot candles. So this is a perfect amount of light for this plant. Obviously, if you want to get technical, you have to use like PPFD and par meters and all that kind of stuff. But this is just a general range or guideline just to see how much light your plant is actually receiving. Okay, I'm going to bring it over on the table here. Hopefully it doesn't completely block out the view. But I just want to show you my setup for right now. I do have it in a 4-liter pickle jar, and I do have it in this black pot just because I was having some issues with algae growth with the pickle jar. I'll see if I can get it out here. When the roots are exposed to light, oh, plants are falling over. Oh no. When plants are exposed, or water is exposed to light, it tends to want to grow algae. So I place this over the container. Holy smokes, I can't even get it in. I can't even see me. I place the container over the glass jar, and it has corrected the algae issue. So it's funny because this plant pretty much consumes my entire workshop table. I'm just going to pull this leaf over to the side here. You can see I do have it on a support stake. Here's the large pickle jar. Look at those roots. Absolutely crazy. I'll get a closer look here in a second. I'll turn it around. But you can see the plant is kind of growing off or veering off to the side. It's no longer on the plank over there. So I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do for propagation or how to correct this in a little bit here as well. But Obviously, when it comes to watering, I don't have to worry about knowing when this plant needs to be watered because it's in water all the time. And the only thing that I have to keep an eye on is the water level itself. This actually consumes quite a bit of water, and after a couple days, it does drop quite significantly. I think it was up to here maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, so it's already dropped about maybe an inch or so. So yeah, it does use quite a bit of water, and as you can see, I have this little contraption right here, which is a little air pump. I know in a lot of propagation videos, people tell you to switch out the water quite frequently. This really isn't an option for me just because of how large this plant is. I can't take it to the bathroom or to the sink just because the plant is absolutely massive. So I really don't change out the water. I simply top it up when it needs to be watered. Now, one of the reasons why you want to change out the water frequently, like with propagations, is to keep the water fresh and clean, but also to provide oxygenated water. So I kind of solved that problem with this little air pump. It's just a little USB charged pump. So I keep it plugged in and running 24 hours a day, and it just provides air circulation, so it keeps the roots and water oxygenated, and it keeps it clean as well. And then obviously when you put the plastic nursery pot over top of this, blocking out the light, then it keeps the water nice and clean. When you have a plant growing in water long term, I would say almost equally as important as light and oxygen is nutrients in the solution or in the water as well. Now, this is what I use for all of my houseplants, my soil and water. This is Dynagrow Foliage Pro. I believe it's Super Thrive now. I can't find it anywhere and I'm running low, so that kind of has me worried. But this one has both a hydroponic dosing as well as a soil dosing. So I just follow the directions on the bottle. I take a little syringe just from like a children's Tylenol. I measure it out. I put it in my spray bottle. And like I said, I use this for both my plants in soil with moss poles and pretty much every plant that I own, and with water. So all I do is take my little pump sprayer, spraying over here, pump up enough pressure in there, and then I just top up the water like this. And that's all I do for this one, is just making sure that it remains filled up to the top. So every couple days I'll just check on the water, and this is pretty much the only care or maintenance that this plant requires. It's super, super easy. And just top it up. I can't get over just how thick and chunky these roots are. And it's pretty much consumed this entire 4 liter. I believe 4 liters is 1 gallon, so it's a 1 gallon or 4 liter pickle jar. This is probably the second or third pickle jar. So last time when I had to repot this, I didn't do anything with the roots. It was too large to get out of the top of the pickle jar, so I did have to smash it. So with this one, I can't continuously upsize containers just because I have limited space. Like, I have a ton of houseplants, so I'm limited on space. But what I think I'm going to do is propagate this one. Now, I know there is a large, like, cheese ball container from Costco. It's a massive container. That would be absolutely perfect for this. I might try and see if Costco does have some cheese balls. I'll eat the cheese balls and then I'll place it in the larger container. But if you are short on space, pretty much there's only one option, is to propagate this. Now you say, how is that possible when you have it growing in water like this? Now, these aerial roots, a lot of times people will just let them kind of grow outside of a pot and they'll go on the floor. But what I like to do is redirect them into water. You can also do this with soil roots as well, or the aerial roots with soil. Once you see them reaching the top of the pot, just redirect them into the pot. They will grow into the soil and they will turn from aerial, like anchoring roots, to soil roots, and that's what these ones have done right here. So you can see, I'm not going to pull this out, but here are the support roots. Obviously, once it reaches the surface of the water, it turns into water roots. I did have a couple larger area roots from up top here growing outside the pot, so I did cut them back. And you can see right here, I made the cut. I don't know if I can get a better view or not. I made the cut right there, and you can see there is a fresh white root poking through. So you definitely can cut area roots back. They will regrow, and just push them into the pot. And there's another one right back there as well that I did cut. So I'm redirecting them back into the water. And the reason why I'm doing that is because when it comes time to propagate, I'm going to take my, rusty utility knife. I'm going to cut the stem probably somewhere around here, and all of these aerial roots that are growing into the water will or should be able to sustain the plant when you make the cut. So it should have, or it will have, roots in the water obtaining moisture and nutrients, and it should be able to maintain growth. It probably won't put out a new leaf for quite some time, just because it'll be focusing on establishing a root system large enough to produce another leaf. But that's how I'm going to propagate this down the road. Let those aerial roots grow into the water. I'll take the cutting and then I can start the top cutting in a new container. It'll establish roots, and then it'll just continue to grow. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this over here a little bit, but one way to easily size up your leaves on your monstera is to add a support stake. You don't need a moss pole or anything like that. It just needs a support system so that it can grow up like a wall or a tree like it would in its natural habitat. So I just used, I don't know, this is just a little piece of plywood that I made a cut, and I didn't want to put it in the water because obviously you run the chance of it rotting and growing mold and all that kind of stuff. So what I did is I just used some electrical tape, and I taped it to the outside of the jar. So far it's been doing relatively okay. Like, it's starting to lean to the side a little bit just because of the weight of the plant at the top here. So once I make the cut or propagation, probably in a couple months here, I'll see if it puts out a new leaf or not. And I want these area roots to grow into the water a little bit more before I decide to propagate this. But it should be pretty easy to correct it. I'll just stand it upright again on a new plank, and yeah, it shouldn't have a problem down the road. So again, this is just an experiment plant. And the reason why I love this plant so much is because I don't think I've ever seen a mature monstera grown in water. So that was the goal for this plant, and clearly I've achieved that just through kind of trial and error over the last number of months here. I think it's been in water now for coming up on 18 months. So I am super excited to see such a healthy plant growing just in straight water. Now, I did put out a little call for help, I guess, on Instagram if they have grown their monsteras long-term in water, and I did get a couple of responses. One of them is from a viewer in Ontario, I believe, and they actually have theirs growing in a one of those Costco cheese ball containers. So I have used it in the past for other propagations and stuff like that, but I no longer have it. But I'm going to put their plant up here. I don't know the actual care that they provide this plant, but it was really nice to see a plant that has been growing in water or continues to grow in water, and I think they said that their plant is about 3 years old. So if you want to grow a monstera in water and you don't want the hassles of knowing when to water it and all that kind of stuff, then definitely give long-term water growth. This is essentially just hydroponics. You can grow pretty much any plant in water as long as you give it the basic requirements. So obviously the right amount of light, you need oxygen to the root system. It's no different than if you overwater a plant in soil. It doesn't allow oxygen to the roots, basically suffocates the roots. They start to develop some root rot. The same thing can happen with a plant that grows in water without that sufficient airflow. So get yourself a little pump or something like that, or you can just change out the water and then make sure that you have a fertilizer or nutrient solution that is meant for hydroponics, which Dynagrow or Super Thrive Foliage Pro is does have both the soil and hydroponic solution. So you can grow any plant in water, super easy, super satisfying. So I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. I'm just gonna get the plant right in frame here. If you have any other comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Always appreciate the support. Look at how massive this plant is. Thanks for watching my videos. Take care, everyone. Bye.